Good morning, Facebook. This is Jim Blythe, and joining me, Miss Shenna Lawless, commander of the 8273rd VFW post in Frisco, Texas. We're going to be talking about the wall that heals, the Vietnam War memorial that Shenna has brought to our part of Texas. So we're going to be on the air in just a second. We're going to be right with you. Welcome to the Veterans Impact Show, where our motto is Charlie Mike. Continue the mission. I'm your host, Jim Blythe, U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran and certified senior advisor. Join me as we feature veterans who continue the mission of leadership and commitment in our communities after serving our great nation. Why, you never know who you're going to meet or where we're going to go. So, welcome aboard.
I don't think so.
Just put it over. Okay.
Are you sure?
Great day today. This is an incredible day. I've got a really great friend, a new friend. A friend of mine by the name of Lynn Toomer, who is state commander of the VFW, which I am a member of the VFW, said, hey, Jim, if you want to be in a really great VFW post that gets stuff really done and is really helping veterans, and it has the kind of attitude that we want, the attitude of accomplishment and community development, you need to meet Shenna Lawless. I go, okay. So I called, met Shenna and her husband, and I'm now a member, have been now for, I guess, maybe almost a year of the VFW post in Frisco. I have been amazed because the meetings I have been in Frisco are full. Every seat in the room is full, and the people are doing great things. This is the kind of VFW that we want. There's no bar, there's no cigarette smoking. So it's not a smoky old bar of old guys sitting around getting drunk and telling war stories. This is today's VFW, and today's VFW is accomplishing great things in our nation, in our communities. One of the things, Shenna, that you have done is you brought the wall that heals. This is a 3/4 replica of the Vietnam War Memorial, and you're bringing it to Frisco, which is amazing. And this is a national tour, and this is not going to go from just this part of Dallas to another part of Dallas. It goes from here to, I think, where is that?
Alabama next.
Alabama. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Shenna, first of all, tell us a little bit about VFW, what you do and what you have done and what our VFW does besides this, because I want people to know more about VFW. And the reason, tuning in, plugging in, and being a part ends isolation and creates community and helps us within our community. So tell me a little bit about our VFW and you and what's going on.
That's exactly right. First, Jim, thank you so much for having me on. This is amazing. What a wonderful opportunity. So I just wanted to say thank you. And of course, we love you being a part of the Frisco VFW. We're glad you're in the group and part of the family. But we have a ton of programs that reach all veterans, regardless of your interests, right? I tell people all the time, you don't have to do all the things. But we're here as an organization to make sure that you have options that you want to be involved in, whether it be, touring the schools and going and talking to our youth about different conflicts, or whether it's you want to do, behind the scenes stuff, or be involved in our athletic, our ruck squad, if health and wellness is a big priority in your life. We've got all the options, even the gaming, even for our younger veterans. We have gaming options. We have a combat veteran gaming league that so many people participate in. And so, like I said, we have something for everyone. Our women veterans program is amazing. I have to give that humble plug there.
Hey, that needs to be, that is one of the most important things that I think you guys do, is make it all inclusive.
Yes.
And that is important.
We're community focused and family driven. And like you said, your typical VFW, there's nothing wrong with those organizations. We're just different here in Frisco. And our whole mantra is rewrite the perception of what the VFW is.
Well, I think, like so many organizations, over time, they change. They need to change to come in with the next generation.
That's right.
Your generation, the post 9/11 generation, is different from my generation and the Vietnam generation. And I think that the evolution is amazing because, again, VFW has always been community involved with the schools in terms of the junior ROTC that is in the high schools. I remember when I went to Bryan Adams, the VFW was involved. It is a great organization, and one of the things is they do more for veterans than probably any other organization with our political communiques and all of that that's been done. The other thing, we have, I think, 2 people in our post who are accredited VA reps and help people get signed up. Isn't that correct?
Yes, with our we have a veteran service officer. We actually have several within the organization right here in Texas, and so we can help with those benefits and claims and get you started and pointed you in the right direction because you got to use your benefits that you earned.
Well, I got to tell you the truth. Excuse me, everybody. It took a guy by the name of Michael Krause, who is director of benefits for the state of Texas, in an interview to talk me into it because I never felt like I deserved it. I was at sea on aircraft carriers during Vietnam from 1967 to 1970. And as compared to the men and women who were in country in Vietnam, I never felt like I was there. They convinced me, and I got to tell you, I've gotten involved with the VA. The healthcare has been excellent. I basically went through the PACT Act. I got a disability because of some of the medical conditions that I've got. I got to tell you, this is a different VA, just like this is a different VFW than what I grew up being around. All right, let's talk about one of the things you've done is bring the walnut heels. Why is that so important? Why is this such a crucial thing for our community to have?
Well, I appreciate you keep telling everybody that I did it, but I have to make sure in full disclosure here that we have an impeccable team. When we decided last year that we were going to put our name in the hat for this, we decided that could we support it? Could we do it justice? And could we, fulfill the obligation that was needed? And so we applied. And hundreds of communities apply for this tour, and we were pleased to accept. We were pleased to know that they selected us. I think there were only 30 or 35 that they're coming for the 2024 tour, and we're the only stop in Texas. So immediately, what we did is we put a committee together. We put a committee because the logistics of this thing is just, there's a lot. There's a lot that
I
goes
can
into
imagine.
it. And there's no way that I could do this alone. And so to your point, I appreciate the credit, but gosh, we've got an impeccable team. And so we did. We said, okay, how are we going to tackle this thing and make sure that it continues to bring the Americanism and patriotism alive within our community while honoring the Vietnam veterans in our local community and, of course, the ones that made the ultimate sacrifice that are listed on that wall. There's 58,281 on that wall, men and women that served. And we're going to make sure and do every single one of them justice when they stop here in Frisco.
Well, I have quite a few friends that are on that wall, and I have 12 squadron mates from my squadron, VA 163, that are on that wall. But more than that, this wall, and it's called a wall of healing because this wall represents, I think, the period of time that was a tremendous change in this nation, and a change that really we need healing from, because during this period of time, and I lived right through the middle of it. I was there in the worst of the air war in North Vietnam. My squadron led all the attacks. John McCain was one of my pilots. And so we had, as I said, we had 12 killed in action, 5 POWs. One of the things, America got disillusioned during this war. This war was the spark that changed this nation in many ways. The first thing was the Johnson administration, which took over, basically didn't want to win the war. It was
It was
just,
a political war,
it
Jim.
was a
And
political war. And that, I think, backfired on the American people when they started seeing body bags coming home.
I tell people all the time, look, you can hate the war. It's a political war, but we're not going to hate the warrior. And the warrior is the one that did what was asked of them by their country, and they fulfilled that obligation. And we owe it to them to make sure that they know that they're celebrated, that they get the same celebration that I got. You know, when I came home from Iraq, I tell people all the time, I got the high fives, the balloons, the congratulations, the party, the parade. I got it all. And it felt amazing. And then I look at my dad and, you know, he didn't get so lucky. You know, well, I won't go with what he got into, but you know, he wasn't treated nice at all. And frankly, I don't want to get in trouble here, but it pisses me off. It makes me so mad how you guys were treated. And the only thing that I can do in my capacity as commander here is I can't change the past, but we can certainly try to make it better.
Shenna, I can tell you what happened to me in Los Angeles and San Francisco airports. In my dress blues coming home, I'll never forget, this young guy with long, curly blonde hair comes up to me, gets right in my face in front of all these people in the terminal, screaming at me, calling me a baby killer, calling me all kinds of names, spit on my uniform.
Yep.
Man, and he was trying to provoke me to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy was beyond stupid because I had been part of a bomb loading team. I could bench press 500 pounds at that time. I was physically fit. Let me tell you something. I just turned around and walked away, and how I felt. And then when I went down to the University of Texas after I got out of the Navy, I put my uniform in a box with some cedar balls to keep it from getting ruined by moths. I basically didn't tell anybody. I did not want anybody to know, and I did not put on the fatigues and the go to the protests. I wore pressed clothes. I wore a suit. I worked my way through college. I had my real estate broker's license. I was determined to catch up for the 4 years I lost. And that was the way I felt. I didn't feel like, gee, I had volunteered, which I did, for this great opportunity. I felt like I lost 4 years in a situation, in a conflict that made no sense whatsoever.
Well, I know that a lot of people feel that way, Jim.
Yeah.
And, you know, with this wall, we hope that you can visit your friends that you lost and the others that lost friends. And we hope that, you know, it brings peace. And we hope that, you know, to use it as an education piece for our community. And just make sure that we remember the sacrifices that all of our Vietnam veterans made.
The first time I was in Washington and went to the wall,
Uh-huh.
I was absolutely struck and emotionally, wow, at the men and women that were standing there at that wall, looking at names and crying.
Yes, absolutely.
People that they remember. And so I think one of the things you talk about education, I think this is so important. So what I want to do is urge people, hey, take your children, take your family. Just because you don't live maybe in Dallas, but you live in some other community in North Texas or some other community in Texas, plan a few days and come to Frisco. There's wonderful places to stay and see this. It's going to be open 24 hours a day.
That's right.
It's going to be unbelievable at night. I know what that impact was when I went up on the wall in Washington, D.C. at night in one of the trips I was there. It's bringing healing to those of us that were Vietnam veterans, as well as those of us who were growing up in that era. We were the baby boomers. Our parents and the values they had were instilled in us. And then all of that got usurped by the political side of what happened in this war, as well as we were taken to the cleaners by the press.
Yes, the press didn't do you guys any favors. I can speak to that for sure.
Oh, hey, listen, I had the guy on the program who wrote the book Stolen Valor.
Oh, uh-huh.
And he tells so many stories about how the press actually staged and created news, which was unfair, and how they didn't want to show the good stuff that we were doing. They didn't want to show what we were doing in the communities. They wanted to have the blood and guts and all of that. They wanted sensationalism. That changed the way the press started acting in the United States. We went from Edward R. Murrow, which most people don't even know or remember, but he was the most creditable person, to where the press was generating news, creating it.
Mm-hmm. And look at us now. I mean, you never know.
No,
you can't believe
you can't believe
anything you read these days of how what is truthful and what's not. It's hard to decipher.
Mhm.
But the Wall That Heals, I don't want to jump ahead of you, but
No.
we've got some amazing things planned.
Well, tell us about
okay,
that.
Okay. So the opening ceremony is going to be Thursday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. Our keynote speaker that's coming in all the way from South Carolina is Medal of Honor recipient General James Livingston. He is a Medal of Honor recipient from the Vietnam War. If you've never heard him speak, he's absolutely amazing. He's getting in his 80s now, but he's still sharp as ever and an amazing speaker. And we're just so excited to have him.
And we've got that posted up so everybody can take a look at it and put down that information on the Wall That Heals. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
That's okay. But we get to close out the evening with taps played on the bagpipes and Sky Element drones. We're bringing something new that we haven't seen around the veteran community, and we're bringing a military inspired drone show that's really going to help us remember and reflect and bring a positive light to the evening. So all of us obviously couldn't be possible without our generous sponsors. I mean, there's no way we could have pulled off something this massive without the help of our community partners.
And it costs a bunch of money.
Well, yes, sir.
And I've got Navy League. Matter of fact, we'll have a check for you next week from Navy
fantastic.
League.
Yay.
And I want to say thank you for allowing us to participate, because so many of our Navy League members were in fact Vietnam veterans. But again, you're looking for donations as well. Is there a way that people can make a donation that can help you?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. FriscoVFW.org.
All right. FriscoVFW.org. So we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors who support this, one of which is Fairway Independent Mortgage. I work for them. I'm Jim Blythe, a certified senior advisor. My MLS number is 311-548, and the corporate one is 2289, and we're an equal opportunity lender. So that takes care of that, and the attorneys can relax. I got to tell you, it's a great company. It's one of the top companies in the nation to work for, and I have really enjoyed it. And they have been generous to me. Their American Warrior Initiative has given away $1 million worth of service dogs. So take a look at Fairway Independent Mortgage for your mortgage needs. And I'm here for your reverse mortgage needs. So this is Jim Blythe, and we'll be right back after these words from all of our partners. You're listening to and watching Veterans Impact Show, here for you. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Hey, thank you for being on board today. Shenna Lawless, Commander of VFW. Shenna, you had a background. You were in Iraq. What did you serve and what did you do in the Army, correct?
Yes, I was in the Army. So I served as a paralegal in the JAG Corps. Loved it. Still in the legal world today. And I think the Army gave me a great foundation. My last deployment was to Iraq in 2007. I was into CRIT at Cobb Spiker. I did 15 months there. We started out on a 12-month rotation, involuntary extended for 90 days, which ended up making it a 15th-month tour. So that was pretty brutal. I took my R&R like month 3. So I was
okay, where did you go on R&R?
I came home to Texas. I'm a Texas girl, and we had a great time that I was able to spend with my family. My family's been incredibly supportive while I was in the military. Small joke, I really do enjoy kind of being a girly girl, and when I decided to join the Army, everybody kind of laughed a little bit. Like,
you were a lady's lady.
Well, I mean, I think Private Benjamin came to mind with Goldie Hawn and a couple other things. And so, I don't want to discredit my parents, but, they're like, yeah, you'll be home in, a week or so. You're, basically not going to be able to cut it. But for me, I had something to prove, and so I actually ended up enjoying the Army quite a bit. I felt like I was a pretty good soldier and I enjoyed it. It gave me a great foundation. And so after that last deployment, I came back to Texas and have been doing things within the veteran community since.
Absolutely. In the JAG Corps, a lot of people don't know that's basically paralegal.
Well, yes, it's the Judge Advocate General's Corps. We uphold the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So I tell people all the time jokingly, you either love me or you hated me, depending on which side of the table you were on. But it was a good foundation for me, and I owe a lot to the military for the morals and the values that I still instill today.
I think that's one of the big things, leadership. I was talking with Rear Admiral Beale, who's a very good friend of mine, and he was vice commander of recruiting for the Navy, and we talked a lot about the leadership in the Navy. And he looked at me in an interview we did, and he said, Jim, who really runs the Navy? And I said, the senior enlisted, the chief petty officers. He said, that's right. He said, no other military in the world goes to the extent that we do to train our enlisted and to create leadership in our enlisted. And so one of the things that we have found, and I know you have found this, businesses, companies want to hire veterans. Why?
Yes, I agree. Well, why? Did you ask? Is that
Yeah.
You're asking me why? Well, for one, we're dependable. We show up, we do our job, and we do it well. Just the attention to detail that some of us have kind of can be our own demise a little bit. Just nitpicking every little thing, but the attention to detail and the values, like I said, that were instilled in us in the military set us up for success in the professional world.
And one of the things that I think is so important too, with an organization like the VFW, you're continuing the mission. You're bringing together men and women who have had this common bond of serving in combat zones.
We do.
And as a result, one of the big things about what we learned was to adapt, to improvise, and to get things done.
That's right.
We didn't depend on the bureaucracy. If we needed parts for our aircraft, we figured out ways to get it done. Sometime reverse engineer and how do you get this done? And that became really, I think, one of the greatest learning experiences is how do you problem solve? Because when you're out there in the field, when you're at sea, you can't always depend on even the book doesn't work sometimes. And so you learn to be very resourceful. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. 100%.
And what do you think was your best experience when you were in Iraq? What do you look back and you go, oh, that was really unique. I remember that. I appreciate that.
Well, I don't know if it was my best moment, but it's definitely my most unique. I traveled all over theater with my chain of command. We were at a battalion level. We visited companies all over theater there in Iraq. And so when you travel outside of a base or, your installation, you're in harm's way. And I was not so lucky in that my convoy was hit by an IED. And so I participated in that. And as a paralegal in the JAG Corps, you don't really envision that's where you're going to end up.
You're not used to carrying a rifle. You're used to carrying a computer, right?
Well, I still carried my 9mm and my M4, but I didn't really have to use it a lot. And a lot of people are trained in different MOSs for that specific reason. But it was a big eye opener for me. I was like, oh, things just got real quick.
Yeah.
And so I am incredibly thankful for the team that I was with. They immediately jumped into gear, and we all have our training. And luckily, none of us were extensively hurt that day. There were some residual after effects, but we didn't lose anybody that day, and so that was a win for us. And I just appreciate those guys and girls that I was out there outside of the wire with, because boy, did I really get educated that day for sure.
I respect the men and women that I served with. And I think one of the things is you were in a different situation, or maybe not so different, because I was on aircraft carriers and we were in the middle of the Vietnam. And there was some times that I went to battle quarters because they said, well, some MiGs are coming at us, or there are torpedo boats coming at us. And then everybody, when you are there, or when you have a fire, or when you have a bad thing happen on a carrier, everybody's got everybody else's back.
That's right.
Nobody gets left behind, and nobody just throws up their hands and goes, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
No, you got to stand. And that is all brought about by training. Training is one of the most key things that I ever remember. You can't go to college and get that kind of training.
No, sir.
You can't go to school and get it. You got to get it one day at a time while being there. So the military was the best thing that happened to me.
Same. Agreed.
Absolutely. All right. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about the military, the wall that heals, and the importance of taking these values and teaching the next generation. So we want you to know again about the wall that heals, the Vietnam Memorial Wall, coming to Frisco in May. We'll be right back after this word from all of our partners. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show, and thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. I want to say a special thank you to DBTV Network for putting us on Amazon Fire and Roku and other outlets, and we're about to be on a really big outlet. That is exciting. We're going to take this to a new level. So subscribe, join us, help us. We're going to be doing a lot more to showcase veterans like Shenna and showcase the things that are going on in this nation. So again, on Saturday, you can go to Amazon Fire and Roku and watch us. You can watch us today and share on YouTube and share on Facebook what we're doing, because it's important. It's important that we, come together and work together. It's important that we do everything we can to heal this nation and use our leadership skills to bring this nation back together. And I think that is so incredibly important. Now, let's go back to the wall that heals. Let's for those who just tuned in, let's put up the website. And again, this is coming to Frisco. This is going to be the only one in the state of Texas. And thank you for being part of the team, or the leadership of the team that pulled this together. This is going to be a beautiful thing. So May 2nd, right? 7 p.m.
May 2nd is, it's open 24 hours a day on May 2nd, but our opening ceremony is that evening, and it goes through Sunday, May 5th. So anytime between the 2nd and the 5th, please come out. We have group tours available if that's something that you're interested in attending. It's about 45 minutes and you'll get an informative tour. Those tour signups are located on our website at friscovfw.org. They're absolutely free, no cost to the public, thanks to our amazing sponsors. But yeah, sign up for a tour, come out, visit us. We've got an amazing night planned on at 7 p.m. There'll be bag taps on bagpipes that evening. And then every single night at sunset, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, will be taps played as well at sunset. So make sure you come out and just see this beautiful experience.
I just had a thought. Of course, you're playing the taps at sunset, which typically goes along with a funeral.
That's right.
A memorial service. I'd like to think of this as what you designated as the wall that heals, is a reawakening, a coming together. This is how we come together. This is how we heal our Vietnam veterans. We talk about the 58,200 people that are on that wall. Let me tell you something, Shenna. There was somewhere in the neighborhood of over 2 million men and women that served in Vietnam.
I thought it was closer to 3 million,
It
but who's
it could
counting?
well be. I'm not sure that
There's
I
so
know,
many,
but
so
I
many.
will tell you that one of the things is many of them were exposed to toxic poisoning.
They absolutely were.
Many of them were exposed to situations, whether it was in combat or even in their non-combat jobs, like you were talking about, which have created problems. I had a very, very dear friend, Ronnie Neely, who was in the Brownwater Navy. He was in the Mekong Delta in the riverboats. It affected Ronnie a lot. He had several Purple Hearts. He was one of the finest men I've ever known, and he passed away. And I think a lot of it was because of not only the toxic poisoning from Agent Orange, but the toxic environment that he was in. And we don't understand that as civilians. But how do we get past that? Because we've got an epidemic of suicides we have for several years. We've got to heal. This is a chance to heal. So if you are the spouse, loved one of a veteran, whether it's Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, whatever, bring them. If you are a veteran who served in combat, come, shake hands, say something positive to the children. Help us bring this nation back together.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'd like to segue a little bit and put my legislative hat on with the VFW because,
Bingo.
you mentioned the importance of suicide prevention, and one of the VFW's main initiatives right now is really advocating for veteran legislation, and it's called Not Just a Number Act. And what this bill will do, if passed, will allow get the information from the VA, the social economical status of what that veteran is struggling with. And not particularly, by name, but what was your housing situation? What was your financial situation? What was your job situation? That type of data released from the VA so we can know what the core root of the problem is. Why did you feel it was so bad that you needed to take your life? And so we want to get down to the core problems. That way we can address those issues and start backstepping and seeing okay, what can we do better in this arena? What can we do better in this segment? And that's one of the things I love about the VFW is that everything from the local level here in Frisco, all the way up to the state level of Texas, and all the way up to the national level, sitting right there on Capitol Hill advocating for our veterans.
Well, last week I had Dr. Benjamin Klegler, who is the director basically of Whole Health, where they're integrating all of these different types of things that are typically unusual medical, acupuncture, Tai Chi, yoga, hypnosis, everything.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about that to try and help. The VA is changing and improving with integrative health and helping veterans heal. But let me tell you something. Everybody says, well, I'm not a veteran. Why is this reported to me? I got to tell you, 70% of all of the medical professionals in the United States at some point in time work in the VA. Do you know that? Trained in the VA. Also, one of the things that's important is many cases, the VA has led the way in innovative things. And one of the things is they're working to end isolation. And you, with this VFW post, you were doing that as well.
Well, yeah, we have a sense of community. We have a safe place for all veterans to come. And you don't have to have served in combat to hang out with us. We're a great community. We do a lot of things. To be a member, we are a combat veteran focused, but we don't exclude anyone. Anyone can come out to any of our events. It's always open to the public. And most of the time, it's always free.
Now, the other thing is there is a volunteer sign up on the website. And Nathaniel, can you bring that up and show them again? There's a way and say, hey, I don't want to just go. We got a 24/7. I'd like to volunteer. I lived through all of this. I think this is fantastic. How you can participate.
We have a ton of different things that you can do, whether it's setup and takedown, which are a little labor intensive, or if it's sitting at our check-in tent, making sure our volunteers know where to go, directing traffic, working the parking lot. There's something for everybody. And we couldn't pull this event off without the help of all of our volunteers. We have over
Absolutely.
200 volunteers for this thing. And like you said, Jim, it's manned 24 hours a day. So if you don't want to be out there with a whole bunch of people and you just want to come at 2 a.m., that's available too. And so there's, like I said, there's something for everybody, men, women. We do ask that any teenagers that would like community service hours, please bring an adult with them. But, absolutely, there's something for everyone.
I think that's incredible. Me personally, I'm going to be there at 7:00, but I'm an early morning guy.
Sure.
And I love sunrise. And I got to tell you, that's a great time to go out there and to have a prayer, because it's not just the names on that wall that we lost, but it is all the people subsequently that we've lost, either through suicide or through poisoning or whatever. And it's not just Vietnam.
That's right.
It's happened across the board.
Oh, and I didn't even mention that we're bringing out the Mobile Education Center. And
Oh, yeah.
the Mobile Education Center with the wall, it allows us to honor the men and women that served in Vietnam that may not necessarily be listed on that wall, but that's a way for us to remember the ones that have passed on since coming back from war. And that way we can continue to improve their legacy.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, there are a few World War II veterans around.
Yep.
And I've been to the World War II Veteran Memorial in Washington, D.C. That's a very, very different thing. There's something about this wall that is very, very different. And you've brought it. It's a 3/4 size. It's got every name on it.
That's right.
It does in
It's
Washington.
the exact same wall as DC. There's a couple different variations of walls, but this one is the actual 3/4 replica of the DC Memorial.
And there is a foundation that's done this?
Yes, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation out of Washington, D.C. They do this every year through their partners, I believe USAA and trucking companies all over the United States that bring this thing to everybody's local communities. And we're just thrilled to have it.
I can't wait.
Thrilled to be selected.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Are they using like the black marble or black granite?
It's actually made out of granite, like it's a form of granite. It's a big long word. I'm spacing on it right now, but it's a form of granite, just like the actual wall in DC.
Wow, so it looks like the real thing.
It's the real thing.
Now, have you been to Washington, D.C.?
I have. Several times. I go to Washington, D.C. twice a year to advocate for veteran legislation through the VFW National Legislative Committee. I'm on Team Texas with 4 other impeccable veterans from the state of Texas. And we go up twice a year. And so while I'm there, I always make a point to visit those memorials, visit Arlington National Cemetery and several other things. Usually I take my dad with me because he's a Vietnam veteran and he loves to see those things as well. But I will tell you, the Vietnam Memorial is amazing, but the Korean War Memorial is probably my favorite out of all of them. Just the way that it's so beautiful at night, and it really depicts the soldiers that served during that time. Yeah. And you go up there in the winter and the snowfall on it. It's just breathtaking. All of the memorials are breathtaking, but
I got to tell you, I know Don Graves, and Don Graves was on Iwo Jima. And Don Graves was, I believe, in the second wave. He was in, I believe, a battalion. And from his lectures that he's given, there were like 1,500 men that went ashore in Iwo Jima. He was one of 15 that survived.
Wow.
And he's still alive. He's still very, very active in Dallas. He does speaking deals. He also sings at a lot of things.
Okay.
He's pretty
He's a good
amazing.
Singer, huh?
Yeah. And I got to tell you, men like Don Graves, I know we're going to be there. I know Don's going to be there. And he's World War II. He's the last of the World War II. And I think you're going to get a chance. Your children are going to get a chance to see and meet great American heroes.
That's right. We have a lot of great dignitaries coming. Some of the most high-ranking dignitaries in the DFW Metroplex is coming to this thing. The Medal of Honor Museum bus is coming as well. The VA will be there. And so not only is this a great educational piece for our community, but you also are being afforded a wonderful resources by the VA, and I can't wait for everybody to hear about the bus with the Medal of Honor Museum out of Arlington that's coming.
Isn't that exciting?
So exciting! So
I
exciting.
have met Chris. We're working on having him on. That is such an exciting thing, and I've seen newsreel footage of the construction that's going on. That's huge. And I found out what I also didn't know. And Diane and I were at a deal Monday. There is a National Naval Museum being built in Washington, D.C.
That's amazing.
Which our Navy League is participating in. And I got to meet the people that are involved in that last Monday night with Navy League. It's amazing. And this is what's needed. I keep being redundant, I guess, but I'm saying we got to bring this country back together. And the way we do it is by telling the truth about what did happen in the history, because you don't want to relive it.
That's right.
You don't want to go back through it again. And we're seeing Vietnam was I'm going to say this, maybe I've been criticized. Vietnam got repeated in Afghanistan, in my opinion.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. And at some point in time, either you're going to be a winner or you're not going to be there. And if we're not going to be there, then we need to let the world know. But I think we're the bastion of democracy. I think we're the leader. We are not a police state. We're not trying to conquer nations, and we have not had anybody that we have stayed and ruled. This is an important part of our being a maritime nation in what we do. And we've got to understand who we are and where we came from.
Absolutely. Or history repeats itself.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, when you see a man or woman standing there, maybe putting a flower down, touching the wall, looking at a name, it's going to make it real to you.
Yes, absolutely.
It's going to bring it home, doesn't it?
Yes, we're offering name rubbings out there with the whole course of the days that are going to be. We have paper and pencils that you can go find that name and actually rub on it and take a memento home with you to make sure that you never forget.
Now, you obviously then must have a directory, because I mean there's 58,000 names. And so that directory can then direct you to which panel, which column, everything.
Absolutely.
Correct?
There's a directory, just like Washington, D.C., so you can find whoever on that wall to find out which line and panel that they're on. We've also gone a little bit of an extra step and listed out all of the Collin County and Denton County names on that wall as well. So if that's something you're interested in finding, Corporal Robert Ray Brown, if you don't mind, if I can talk about him for just a second. He is our only KIA from Vietnam that's actually from Frisco. He's our only one. And his family's actually coming to the opening ceremony. He's got some sisters and cousins that still live in the Metroplex, and we can't wait to honor him. He was only in country 23 days before he paid the ultimate sacrifice in Vietnam. He was only 20 years old, and we're excited to honor him and all the others that are on that wall. And so if you're interested in local individuals, we have that information as well.
That is fantastic. Well, if you're in Oklahoma,
come on down to Texas.
Come on down to Texas. Spend the weekend. We got great restaurants. We got great people. And we actually love you guys in Oklahoma. I mean, we send most of our players up to OU to play for you. I know that went over real big, didn't it?
Oh my gosh. You're hilarious.
And I want to say again, as we go to our last segment and bring this program back into the dock, what a great opportunity to have Shenna with VFW and talk about what all y'all do. And this is an amazing thing. We're going to wrap up in just a minute. So please listen to our volunteers that are supporting this program and helping you. Sign on, be a part of it, share it, get the word out here. We are Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you today. Join us. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. How about, isn't this the fastest hour you've ever seen in your life?
It's incredibly fast. It's going by so fast.
I got to tell you, subscribe to YouTube. Yes, my wonderful wife, Diane. I got to tell you, I am so thankful for Diane and Nathaniel. And Cedric White couldn't be with us. He's in Hawaii. He's my new co-host. He is a Navy veteran. I'm one of the most amazing men I've ever met. Healing Thine Heart Ministries, what they're doing for marriage counseling and what they're doing for marriages is truly amazing. Diane and I have gone through it. I recommend everybody to go through that. If you're a veteran, whether you got a perfect marriage like you do or not.
No, not like me. JD and I, we're two Army veterans. So, yeah, we'll check it out. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That man is so amazing. I've met my match for sure. You know, I always get all the attention being the commander, but he did 22 years in the Army, and I love that guy. I'm fortunate to have him.
He is a great man, and I have been so impressed by all the members of the VFW I've met. But you know, I got really introduced to VFW back in 2015 when we started this program, by meeting this big old bear of a guy from Fort Worth named Lynn Toomer.
I love Lynn Toomer. He's awesome. You know, he's running for National Junior Vice Commander right now.
No, I did not know that.
Well, we need all the support we can get.
Yes. Support Lynn Toomer for National
Junior Vice Commander.
Junior
That's
Vice
right,
Commander.
2025.
And I got to tell you, he is one of the most amazing people, but he is the epitome of what I see so much in VFW, of volunteers, get involved, doing things, making things happen.
Yeah.
And that's what counts.
That's right. Him and his wife, Karen, are coming to the opening ceremony on May 2nd for the Wall That Heals. So we'd love to have past Department of Texas Commander Lynn Toomer in the house. He's always a fun guy, but you're right. He puts his money where his mouth is, and he's always doing something for veterans. And I appreciate that guy so much.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. But I appreciate everybody I've ever met in VFW. And that's not to say the American Legion or some of the other organizations are not just as effective. I just happen to have gone to VFW, and I have found a home and a place. I don't get to go as often as I want because we do so many other things. I just want to mention also, I'm a chaplain, and this evening, we're involved with our community salutes, which our community salutes honors the high school graduates who are going into the military, those who are joining up to become part of this great leadership organization called the United States Military. I will get to lead the invocation on that. What we do there, again, leadership, training, and helping these young men and women to be honored. I get to be so many opportunities. General Robert Dees, we had him on recently. He has a program that they're doing in Virginia for veteran health and fitness. He's going to be in Dallas May the 22nd to speak at the Perot. And then I asked him, he's going to speak at our Navy League luncheon. So if you're Navy League, if you're Navy, if you're Army, if you're Air Force, if you're Coast Guard, if you're Marine, especially you Marines, we always need you. On the 23rd of May, check out Navy League DFW, Navy League Dallas. We want you to come and join us.
So I can come?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And sign up, join us. It's going to be great. General Robert Dees, many of you Army guys know him.
Okay.
He was very influential in the Army, and what he's doing it now with his faith-based initiative is amazing. So, General Robert Dees, some of the other things that we're talking about, what are some of the other really exciting, fun things that you guys do? Do you do some trap shooting, skeet shooting, things of like that as well?
Yeah, so we've done bowling, we've done clay shoots, we've done POW MIA, candlelight remembrances. Are you talking about like fun things? We're talking about right
Yeah.
now. We're having we're thinking about putting a spades tournament together. So we do a lot of great things. Just and the point of it all, right? Bringing people together.
That's it.
And so it really helps people like me and you come together. Without the VFW gym, we would have never been friends.
No.
We would have never even known each other. And so it's just one of those things that brings everyone together.
Now, one of the things you told me is that our team, your team, has 5 acres that have been donated,
Oh yeah.
and you're working on putting together a VFW facility. Tell me about that very, very quickly,
Okay.
and how people can donate to that.
Absolutely. On our website at friscovfw.org, the Frisco VFW, we do not have a brick and mortar building. And so, oh, that's our auxiliary. Yeah, our auxiliary is awesome too. But the auxiliary is our supporters, our family members. And so back to what were we saying, Jim? I'm
We're
sorry.
talking about a new building.
The new building. That's right. I apologize. We just have to make sure and raise the money. We want to bring in like a resource center to the city.
That's one of
necessarily
the
a
biggest
bar.
things: is resource, job
Yeah.
hiring, job placement.
That's right. And we want to focus on all the elements of how we can integrate service members back into the community. And whether it be with health and wellness or resume writing or job searching or financial assistance, we do it all.
Or
And
just networking.
yeah, networking, you name it. Yep.
Shenna, this is really great. Again, go to the Frisco VFW,
Uh-huh.
the 8273,
Yes.
and join us. You don't necessarily have to be here because you also do it online as well.
Yeah,
So
we do.
if you can't be at the meeting, but if you want to go have a cigarette or two or a cigar, there's always something afterwards you can do. But
That's right. We always put in our we always make sure and get our business meetings knocked out, and then we'll go have dinner or drinks after, and it's always a good time.
all right, Shenna, we've talked a lot about the importance of being part of the military and the leadership. And now I want to close with a prayer. Lord God of the universe, we are so thankful for your hedge of protection around our active duty military and our first responders who run into the fire instead of away from it. And we thank you, God, for the leadership opportunities and the learning and what these men and women bring to our community. And we're thankful for the young men and women who are joining our nation's military in all that they're going to the greatest adventure they could ever have. Thank you, dear God, for our veterans who are leading us to bring this nation back together. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I say thank you, Lord God. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, this has been great.